She rushed towards the soldiers and tried to seize their bodies. Let her get rid of this body that causes her endless pain as soon as possible. Several soldiers kept shooting at Doris when they saw her. When the bullets were all gone, the soldiers quickly locked the car door and kept Doris in the armored vehicle. A soldier then said, "Did you hear that? Our commander has completely turned into a monster. We can't stay with her any longer." After saying that, the soldier decisively fired a rocket at the armored vehicle. The entire armored vehicle was engulfed in the explosion's flames. At this moment, Elder, hidden in the dark, shouted, "Don't move!" Instantly, these soldiers tensed up again. "Do not act recklessly. I do not want to annihilate you. I ask you, who killed the girl wearing a helmet? Hand him over." The soldiers pointed to the armored vehicle in the sea of fire and said, "It's our commander. She killed the girl. We tried to stop her, but she went crazy. So we killed her." The murderer has been buried in the sea of fire. Elder can no longer seek revenge in person. He asked, "Are you troops from Peach Blossom Land? Contact Benjamin immediately. I want to speak with him." At this time, the Control Benjamin is still thinking about how to break the situation. Elder's voice resounded inside the command ship. Benjamin realized that this was an opportunity. He quickly communicated with Elder using a secret code. This attack was orchestrated by Henslow, right? Elder wanted to ask for more details at this moment, but was interrupted by Queen Bee, who arrived and took away the communicator. "I am Queen Bee. I will always stay here, whether you are in Peach Blossom Land or Henslow. If you want to get my power, come and take it with your own hands. I will be waiting for you here." At this moment, Richard replenished the equipment from a drone. Pitbull kept boasting non-stop about how great he was on the side. However, Richard was not interested in his trash talk. He handed over a magazine and said, "Check the ammunition. The next battle is about to begin." At this moment, Richard was filled with anger. He vowed to take down those who were destroying their homeland. At this moment, Pitbull caught up and patted Richard on the shoulder, pretending to care, and asked, "Is your injury okay? How's the recovery going? I envy you for having an immortal body. Do you think I could become a drone too? Can you reveal the method to becoming a drone?" Suddenly, Richard stopped in his tracks, surprising Pitbull. Pitbull thought to himself that he was too hasty and should wait until things were more settled before asking again. Pitbull quickly explained, "I'm sorry for being nosy. I was just curious." However, Richard had stopped because he sensed someone at the staircase landing. It was Walter, who was waiting for Richard and smiling as he asked, "I'm also very curious about how to become a drone." Richard and Walter locked eyes. Richard made the first move, throwing a punch the size of a cooking pot that instantly smashed into Walter's face. Then he threw Walter out with a shoulder throw. Walter lay in a pile of debris, laughing heartily. He was holding the bloody insect sword in his hand and said, "So powerful." Even though his bones were pierced through, he was able to recover in such a short time. It turns out that, when Richard was thrown over his shoulder, Walter took the opportunity to pierce his shoulder. Walter continued saying, "But why are your eyes always covered? Let me guess. You became a drone due to some kind of opportunity, and your injury was left before you became a drone. That's why it has not healed." "Tell me quickly, what was that opportunity? Was it an intimate contact with the Queen Bee?" Richard looked at him with contempt and said, "That's right. Just like how I became your father." Upon hearing this, Walter instantly became furious. He directly used the 7-star radiant sword technique towards Richard. Richard dodged to the side. He struck Walter directly with the butt of the gun. Walter took a step back in a hurry to evade it. Adam, who was far away, watched the two men fighting but showed no intention of stepping forward to help. He couldn't help but feel strange about the current situation. Why did the Henslow family hastily start a war? They are not an organization that is eager for quick results. They could have slowly eroded the power of the Queen Bee. What exactly happened to make them so anxious? Did I overlook something? Just as Adam was contemplating the overall situation, Martha, who came to support Richard, hid in the corner. Although she really wants to avenge Alan, but her strength does not allow her to go out and fight. She can only wait for the moment when they fall into the trap to have a chance to capture them all. You are the leader of the Queen Bee faction. You are no longer fighting alone. You cannot disregard the lives of the people because of anger. At this point, Walter and Richard are still entangled in their fight. Adam suddenly sensed a strange aura. He shouted, "You there, hiding in the corner! I noticed you from the beginning. I advise you not to get involved in their fight, because I have no intention of getting involved." Martha, who was hiding in the corner, was extremely nervous because it was the first time she had been discovered. Just as Martha was about to come out, the pit bull hidden on the side spoke at this moment. "Adam, long time no see. I am Pit Bull, the former negotiation and intelligence expert of Peach Blossom Land. I think we should have something to talk about." "I know what you are worrying about. You should have figured it out. If Henslow gets Queen Bee, you will be discarded like trash. Although your current mixes are still in important positions. But mixes themselves are just substitutes before getting Queen Bee. Once Henslow gets Queen Bee, you will be worthless. The outcome is something you must understand. That's why your recent actions have been so strange. I'm giving you a chance, Adam. Break away from Henslow. Then run far away. Otherwise, when the moment of reckoning comes, you will be doomed. Of course, you can also take a gamble. Like me, follow Queen Bee. I will help you make connections." Richard, who is still in battle, roars, "This is impossible. We will not shelter them. Their hands are stained with the blood of many of our kin. I will never forgive them." Richard, calm down. "Even though these people once killed your companions. But let them become our companions. This can prevent further casualties. Say something unpleasant. If Henslow launches all strategic weapons at all costs, only Queen Bee and a few others would survive in this war. They are currently our only hope to infiltrate the enemy camp. How could you burn the Trojan horse like it was a piece of wood out of anger? Richard, you are the leader of the Queen Bee faction. You must consider your people. Do not let anger cloud your judgment. Even if it means enduring deep enmity to protect you and your family, I can swallow my pride." At this moment, Pit Bull is still trying hard to persuade Richard to let go of his hatred and reconcile with Walter. He yelled, "Adam, I have worked so hard to mediate between you two. You both need to show some sincerity." Adam calmly spoke, "The mastermind behind this attack is Prince. Benjamin has long been subdued by Prince. Now, all attacks are being carried out in Benjamin's name. Prince is doing this to sacrifice Benjamin in order to gain the trust of the Queen Bee. After everyone dies in this war, the Queen Bee, left with nothing, will be under Prince's control." When Richard was shocked by this sinister plan, bad news came through the communicator one after another. "Richard, big brother, something terrible has happened. The daycare center has been shelled. Fortunately, we had already evacuated all the children in advance. But our secret refuges all over have been precisely bombed. There's a traitor among us. I'll contact you all after I figure things out. And don't tell Maria about the children." In this situation, Richard reluctantly accepted the cooperation proposal. Walter and Adam also returned with a lot of information. Then Adam spoke up. "Walter, you should head back first. I felt a sense of unease. I'll reconnoiter the surroundings before returning." After Walter glanced at Adam, he said, "Understood. Don't force yourself if you notice anything unusual. I'll be waiting for your return." At this moment, Adam walked into an alley, looked up at the rooftop, and said, "Come out. I noticed you when Walter and I left the building. If you have something to say, say it. I hate people sneaking around following me." Martha, who was hiding on the rooftop, heard Adam's words. She thought to herself, "He's deceiving me. He didn't actually notice me. If he knew where I was hiding, he would have attacked me directly without talking nonsense like this. This is the first time I've been discovered." Adam felt helpless as he saw the other party hiding and not coming out. He deliberately came to this easily ambushed place to lure the other party out. However, the other party was very experienced and didn't fall for it at all. I, Martha, only believe in tit for tat and an eye for an eye. I only believe in blood for blood. At this moment, Adam felt helpless when he couldn't trick the other party. Suddenly, a hand grenade fell from above his head. The hand grenade exploded with a loud bang. Adam, who had been alert to his surroundings, rushed towards the direction where the hand grenade fell. When Adam reached the rooftop, he noticed a thin wire blocking his path outside the railing. He quickly flipped over the wire. Adam felt proud of himself inwardly. He thought a trap as crude as this wasn't even worth showing off. It was nowhere near the level of elders' traps. Before Adam could revel in his pride for long, as soon as he landed, a clicking sound came from behind him. Startled, Adam realized he had fallen into a trap. At this moment, the anti-infantry directional landmine behind him had already emitted a dazzling light. As the explosion sounded, countless fragments were shot towards Adam. After the explosion, Martha walked out cautiously from the smoke with a gun in her hand, vigilantly surveying the scene of the blast. She noticed blood-stained shoes left on the ground and thought to herself, "Hit the target." She decided to take him out as quickly as possible before he recovered. Just then, a pair of giant pincers charged out from the smoke. Martha agilely jumped up to dodge the attack. However, Martha's combat awareness is still too inexperienced. In the moment she was suspended in the air, Adam made a sudden break and rushed towards the airborne Martha. Unable to evade, Martha solidly took a hit from Adam. Savage collision caused Adam's massive sword to pierce Martha's abdomen instantly. Adam looked indifferently at Martha's painful wails on the ground. He never expected to be ambushed by a little brat. At this moment, Martha slowly crawled on the ground to reach for a gun far away, but Adam stepped on her hand with a foot. Martha angrily scolded, "Get your stinky foot off of me!" But Adam responded to her with a cruel kick. Martha was instantly kicked flying out. At this moment, Martha climbed up again and attacked Adam. Just as she got close, Martha was hit by Adam's elbow strike again. Martha was instantly knocked down. At this point Martha, who had lost her temper, roared, "Get your claws off Alan!" A spray of fresh blood gushed out. This time, Martha fell completely. Seeing Martha motionless, Adam then asked, "Who are you? Why are you following us?" Martha slowly lifted her head. She said viciously, "I want to get rid of the guy who turned us into this. I'm going to avenge my friend." Upon hearing Martha's words, Adam was stunned. "So it's you." Adam, holding his aching head, said, "You should go. Let's pretend we never met." Martha slowly stood up and said, "What do you mean pretend we never met? Are you joking?" "We were tortured to the point of unbearable pain because of her pranks back then. If I can't retaliate and repay her twice as much, how can I do justice to the deceased Alan?" Adam looked at Martha, full of hatred, and said, "Don't you know yet? Your friends are all with the Henslow family, including that butterfly mix. She's here now. I believe with your abilities, you should have already noticed who she's with." While Martha was still fighting fiercely in a bloody battle, Lori and Hilda were driving around the streets, when suddenly Hilda received a secret order from Prince. It instructed Hilda to follow Queen Bee closely, and then seize the opportunity to assassinate Queen Bee. Upon reading this command, Hilda felt a wave of helplessness. First, Hilda needs to tell Queen Bee about Lori's plot to harm Queen Bee's daughter. Make Queen Bee lose her temper, leading her to act irrationally. But Queen Bee is also a very cunning and resourceful woman. After we left, the daycare was shelled, and her daughter also perished in the shelling. In such circumstances, as long as it's a person, everyone would know it's done by us. How can I stay by Queen Bee's side like this, even without considering the previous issue? Successfully assassinated Queen Bee in the end. At this point, Lori needs to connect her life tube with her immediately. But if Lori knows I killed Queen Bee, will she still obey my commands? Before Hilda could think too much, Lori ran over to ask about the situation. Hilda, what are you doing? Why have you been standing there for so long? Hilda replied perfunctorily. Nothing much. I was just thinking about some things. Let's go! Let's continue on our way. The two of them continued driving the off-road vehicle on the broken road. At this time, a group of black bees flew by. They seemed to be searching for something. Suddenly, a swarm of bees separated, and a black bee flew towards Lori and her friends. Watching the swarm of bees attacking them, the two of them were so scared that they broke out in a cold sweat. Such a large swarm of bees, even if they were strong, would be of no avail. However, the black bees did not attack them. They just gently picked them up, as if they were going to take them somewhere. The two of them just let the bees hold them and fly into the air. The swarm carried them to the top of a skyscraper, then threw them down. When the two landed, they found themselves under immense pressure coming from above. The two slowly lifted their heads and looked up. They found the queen bee on the spire gazing down at them. Countless black bees were gathering outside the skyscraper, waiting for the command to launch an attack from their queen. If I die, can the war really end? At this moment, on the rooftop surrounded by the swarm of bees. Queen Bee looked at the sky filled with bees and said slowly, I have located the position of the Benjamin fleet. Although the black bee is powerful, it cannot break through the latest warships. So, I request our ally Henslow to attack and sink the enemy fleet. Hilda hypocritically said, Is that so? That's great news. Although I don't know how you obtained the information, we will only launch an attack on Benjamin with reliable intelligence. Hilda wanted to add a few more deceptive remarks. However, Queen Bee raised her left hand and pointed in the direction far away, saying, I saw it with my own eyes. Please launch an attack as soon as possible. How could Benjamin have run over here? There's no other way. Hilda can only continue to deceive. Even though Queen Bee has found Benjamin's fleet. But now I don't have any communication equipment and can't contact headquarters. Should I go out and look around? But Hilda hasn't finished speaking. Queen Bee beckoned. Several black bees flew over, grabbing Hilda's off-road vehicle. With a loud bang, the off-road vehicle was thrown in front of Hilda. Queen Bee looked at Hilda like watching a clown and said, Now we have the communicator. Hurry, make contact. Looking at the off-road vehicle beside her, even though Hilda had 1,000 words in her heart, in the end, she couldn't say anything. Hilda could only grit her teeth and contact headquarters, requesting them to quickly launch an attack on Benjamin's fleet from their end. However, Queen Bee said softly, Do you think I'm dead? Can the war really end? Hilda asked in astonishment, What are you saying, Queen Bee? Queen Bee casually replied, It's nothing. I was talking to Benjamin. The man instigated a war in order to obtain the insected race queen. According to statistics, the Henslow family's resources will be depleted in 6 years. Furthermore, the black bee was previously released to the public through the Insect Nest Project. It is because the laboratory cannot afford the huge consumption of resources and time. And now all the industries have been almost completely destroyed. It is completely impossible to recreate a queen bee with the resources available now. Although Henslow can create many powerful mixes, the only queen bee who can dominate the black bee is Maria. Despite her strength, she was just an ordinary mix in the folk metamorphosis at first. But who could have expected that she would defeat the seemingly strongest John back then? She also absorbed John's abilities and be colony at the same time. Thus, she soared to become an immensely powerful queen bee. I thought that whoever became the queen bee would submit to my strong power. But I was wrong. It's just because I was blinded by power. Thus, she became so powerful that she couldn't be captured by force. If this attack cannot take possession of Queen Bee, then Henslow will lose the opportunity to compete for world domination. And I will die here too. Prince pondered for a long time. Then he issued the order through the communicator. Benjamin attacks Queen Bee. However, the fleet did not attack Queen Bee immediately after receiving the attack order. After 2 seconds of silence, Benjamin spoke. he shouted loudly. "Everyone listen to my command. Stop the ship immediately. Shut down the system. Detonate the electromagnetic interference bomb. Abandon ship and evacuate." Under the cover of the electromagnetic interference bomb, Benjamin successfully led his subordinates to escape from the ship carrying the bomb. They swam hard in the sea, trying to get as far away from the ship as possible, because they knew the ship would explode soon. Queen Bee, who was observing from a tall building, noticed the situation here, so she sent a swarm of bees over. When the bees approached, they swarmed directly at the people in the water, grabbing them and flying them to the shore. Queen Bee watched from afar as the rescued person said, "Hilda." Benjamin's fleet took the initiative to abandon the ship when they approached here. And Henslow, on the other hand, didn't take any action at all. "Do you have anything else to say?" Hilda looked embarrassed when she heard Queen Bee's question. Looking at Hilda's awkward expression, Queen Bee reached out her hand, saying, "Let me talk to him myself. Since your plan has succeeded, why create more bloodshed?" At this moment, Queen Bee asked Hilda for the communication device. She wanted to talk to Prince. When Queen Bee took the communication device, a drone flew over, and a voice came from the device. "Queen Bee, I never expected our first conversation to take place under these circumstances. I am Prince, the current head of the Henslow family. To be honest, I had originally intended to form an alliance with you as much as possible, but I am impatient to possess you now. The aircraft carrier in front of you is filled with the gift I am giving you. Of course, all of this depends on your choice, because this gift could also turn into a disaster. You have been winning battles without losses before. And this time, when you see your family and companions falling one by one, will you be able to see the gap between us? If you feel that not enough people have sacrificed, then let me tell you. We tracked down those children who evacuated early and let them all perish in the flames." Queen Bee, after hearing this, a chilling murderous intent emanated. She glared at Lori and Hilda with a fierce look. Surely these two leaked the information about the children's evacuation. At this moment, Lori was already scared to the point of breaking out in a cold sweat by Queen Bee's terrifying demeanor. Meanwhile, Hilda was silently lamenting in her heart. Is Prince crazy? Knowing that he is right next to Queen Bee and still saying such things. Isn't he afraid that Queen Bee will kill us all? Prince continued, saying, "Queen Bee, surrender. Everything I have done is to prove to you the difference in strength between us. If you disagree, then the rest of your followers will all perish." However, Queen Bee asked the question that had puzzled her for a long time. Wasn't the insect nest project you conducted a success? Control the human Queen Bee. And isn't the society where humans live in harmony with the bee colony already gradually being realized? After huge sacrifices, humankind has already freed itself from the risk of extinction. But why do you still initiate wars? Prince mocked. "Queen Bee, you are too naive. You've overlooked a key point. Even if the grand goal of the insect nest project succeeds, what meaning does it have if he does not belong to me? Are you not planning to repay me the $1 you owe me? Then I will take your life as payment." At this moment, the black bee rescued Benjamin from the sea and brought him back to dry land. However, the black bee did not bring Benjamin to Queen Bee, but to Elder. Benjamin, seeing Elder anxiously greeting him, asked, "Why did the black bee bring me to see you? I want to see Queen Bee." However, Elder looked at Benjamin coldly and said, "Why else? Do you think you can just not repay me the money you owe? Quickly hand over my $1. "Wait a minute. I have very important information to give to Queen Bee. You can't kill me. Do you know what I have in my hands? This safe contains important information about the Henslow family's base under the permafrost in the north. As long as Queen Bee gets this information, she can break into the enemy's base. So I must hand over this information to Queen Bee. Listen to the other party." Elder said coldly, "You have to disappear because of this information. Do you know why? That's because you were deceived by Henslow. Don't you know yet? All this information was deliberately leaked to you by Henslow. His goal is to lure Queen Bee. so that she falls into their trap. Benjamin, although you bear a grudge against Henslow, you have been serving them from beginning to end. All your actions are part of Henslow's plan. Your very purpose of existence is to deliver this intelligence to the Queen Bee. So you and your subordinates must die. After listening to Elder's words, Benjamin's face turned pale. He didn't want to admit that his whole life had been carefully designed by others. Benjamin then hysterically exclaimed, "These are just your speculations. I want to see Queen Bee. The information here should be reviewed by Queen Bee herself before making a judgment." "You tell the truth. Is it because I owe you money and haven't paid it back that makes you resentful? You just want to find an excuse to get rid of me. If you only eliminated the surrendered forces because of this reason. So the justice-loving Queen Bee will not stand by and watch her companions commit such crimes. Can you bear the wrath of Queen Bee? Benjamin, have you forgotten? I was always the one responsible for doing the dirty work while in Peach Blossom Land. Let's end the reminiscing here, accompanied by the sound of gunfire. The curtain falls on Benjamin and his manipulated life. Later, Elder took Benjamin safe with him. Although he knew it was a decoy, the information about the Henslow base was real. Prince's ultimate goal turns out to be wanting to be with Queen Bee. Prince, who was rejected by Queen Bee at this moment, went completely insane. He gave the order. Countless catalysts are injected into the insect egg. A fierce monster is about to be born. The Queen Bee in the distance seems to also sense a hint of danger emanating from the aircraft carrier. Hilda, there seems to be something dangerous hidden on that aircraft carrier. Can you go and take a look for me? Before Hilda could agree, Black Bee had already grabbed her and flown towards the direction of the aircraft carrier. Poor Hilda was scared to the point of breaking out in a cold sweat. When they approached the aircraft carrier, the detection device on Hilda suddenly sounded an alarm. Hilda was shocked. She hurriedly took out the instrument to check. She was immediately frightened and pale, saying, "Let go of me quickly. Don't go near it." The deck was contaminated with bacteria. But Black Bee simply ignored Hilda's warning and obediently carried out Queen Bee's command. It's getting closer to the aircraft carrier. Hilda had no choice but to kill Black Bee. Lori on the tall building watched Hilda fall into the sea. She just wanted to go rescue her. She was grabbed by a big hand. "Lori, you don't need to worry about what's happening over there. It's just us here now. Let's have a good chat." Facing the intimidating Queen Bee, Lori could only nod in agreement. "Lori, tell me honestly, is my child dead?" Lori replied tremblingly. "Although I didn't see it with my own eyes, the direction they fled was indeed hit by artillery fire." Queen Bee was angry at this ambiguous answer. "Don't repeatedly test my limits. I only want a definite answer." "I'll ask again. Did they actually get attacked? You should know, because you did it." Upon hearing this, Lori said guiltily with her eyes closed, "I don't know. But if they are still alive, you will definitely see her again." Queen Bee finally breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this answer. She reached out and took Lori's communicator. "Lori, were you being coerced by someone? Why are you with the demon? You are one of us. Come here, I will protect you." Have the two sisters who used to share hardships really broken up like this? At this moment, Queen Bee angrily questioned, "Lori, why do you have to work for those demons? Look at what they have turned this world into. No, you don't even need to look. Look at us. Who turned us into monsters? They destroyed everything for their own selfish desires. But you are different. Stand on our side before making a big mistake. Martha is here too. I will protect you. Let's restore this world together." At this moment, Lori really wants to accept Queen Bee's invitation. But thinking about Roy and Alan needing Henslow's treatment, Lori still refused. "Sister Maria, I am already a member of Henslow. I have no choice. Please dispose of me as you wish. I was mentally prepared to die before coming here." However, at this moment, a figure approached. She asked, "Repeat what you just said." Lori looked at the newcomer in surprise. But she didn't think much and rushed up to hug Martha. However, Martha stopped her coldly. She sneered. "What are you wearing? Who gave you such a sexy outfit? Are you going to be a lady at Henslow?" However, Lori ignored Martha's sarcasm and joyfully asked Martha, "Martha, you're still alive. How have you been?" Listening to Lori's indifferent questions, Martha's anger was instantly ignited. She roared, "Don't change the subject. Repeat what you just said in front of me." Lori looked at Martha with grievances. She was about to say that she had indeed joined the Henslow family, but Martha cut her off. "Don't say any more, Lori. Haven't we survived together? Are we still friends, Lori? You've been deceived. And you're wearing this damn clothes. I once said not to trust Hilda. And yet you joined them." However, Lori still naively defends Hilda. "Hilda is different. She's not as bad as you think. Not only did she save us, but she also helped us heal. And they have a way to revive Alan." At this moment, Martha felt dizzy. Hilda saved them. Martha felt abandoned and foolish for not realizing it, and still foolishly wanting to save them. Ridiculous. Suddenly, Martha remembered what Adam had said before leaving. What friends hate. Hatred is meaningless in the face of survival. Queen Bee, who had absolute dominance, was actually stung by the bee colony. At this moment, Hilda, who had fallen into the sea, watched the aircraft carrier in the distance with lingering fear in her heart. What is Prince plotting? He actually spread the virus on the deck. Isn't he afraid of the virus spreading? A helicopter is flying in from a distance. It is speeding towards the aircraft carrier. Queen Bee on the top of the tall building looked at the helicopter with a sense of puzzlement. Henslow's people knew that I was watching. They continued to approach the aircraft carrier by helicopter, even though it could be a trap. But what they wanted to do, I intended to stop. With a thought from Queen Bee, a swarm of black bees flew out and headed towards the helicopter. However, the helicopter suddenly sprayed a large amount of smoke to conceal itself. The black bees that flew into the smoke suddenly struggled in pain. Queen Bee was startled. What's going on? The bee colony that flew into the smoke is out of control. And they are attacking the surrounding bee colonies. That's not ordinary smoke, it's a bacterial bomb. The infection spreads too quickly. Just one contact will get infected. Moreover, black bees that have been attacked by them will be infected immediately. No, quickly let them hide. We need to isolate the uninfected black bees. The infected black bees are in hot pursuit. However, the helicopter successfully landed on the aircraft carrier while the bees were in a confused fight. Several people in protective suits hurriedly got off the helicopter. The leader, however, was Kent. Kent pointed to the chaotic swarm of bees in the sky and said, "Move quickly. Take down the storage box while Queen Bee is temporarily occupied." Several people responded and carefully lifted the storage box down from the helicopter. And inside was a person who had turned into charcoal. At this moment, Queen Bee looked at the swarm of bees in the sky. Infected and non-infected bees had completely mixed together. In order to prevent infecting more of the swarm, Queen Bee decisively sent all black bees to the sea. Having done all this, Queen Bee solemnly took out the communicator and said, "Elder, there is something I would like to ask of you. Could you help me take a look inside that aircraft carrier?" Elder looked at everything happening in the sea. Said lightly, "Sure. But to go there, I need to borrow something from you. Borrow your husband for me. Be safe on your return, Elder. Have Richard explain the purpose once the time comes. I'll keep it short." The aircraft carrier brought by Benjamin. A helicopter entered there, and the swarm encountered the smoke released by the helicopter. They went crazy and started killing each other like mad. I think the smoke is a bacterial bomb. So we need to go inside, gather intelligence, and destroy Prince's trap. Until we know what's going on in there, the two queen bees will not participate in this mission. This mission is very important. I will give you call signs. This means you are now officially my team members. Richard, you are Shepherd. And you are Husky. Although there are only 3 people. But we don't have any extra combat personnel now. As soon as the words fell, a man walked over and offered himself. Did you forget about me, Pitbull? I am capable of handling 10 opponents by myself. Elder saw that the person was Pitbull. He looked disdainful, but considering the shortage of manpower, he reluctantly agreed to his joining. With everyone present, Elder began to introduce the intelligence gathered by Queen Bee. The bacteria released by the helicopter will only infect black bees and are ineffective against the mix. However, if the infected host dies, the bacteria will die along with them. Research has been conducted to counteract the bee colony. Our goal this time is to gather intelligence on the bacterial bombs. In addition, it seems that the helicopter transported something onto the aircraft carrier. So after we obtain the intelligence, we will figure out a way to destroy the aircraft carrier. On this dark and windy night, a few people stood by the sea, looking at the distant aircraft carrier, pondering how to get on board. Suddenly, a black bee carrying a bomb flew over. With a loud bang, thick smoke erupted from the deck of the aircraft carrier. Pitbull, watching the aircraft carrier explode in the distance, asked in confusion, "Weren't we supposed to sneak in quietly? Why did it cause such a commotion?" Before he could finish speaking, the detector on Elder's chest started beeping. Upon seeing this, Elder picked up the radio and said, "Diane, you can stop the attack now. The bacteria has started spreading, so leave that area quickly." "Received. Wishing you a safe return," came the reply. "You think this is just a piece of clothing? This is the evidence of my existence as a human." At this moment, Hilda, who fell into the sea, was brought back to the underground nest by Queen Bee. Queen Bee asked Hilda in confusion, "Why did you dare to jump into the sea instead of going to the deck? Tell me, what are the bacteria on the deck?" Hilda angrily said to Queen Bee, "You cannot treat prisoners like this." Queen Bee disdainfully pointed to the side and said, "Does this look like a place to detain prisoners? This is the food storage warehouse of the ant fortress. You'd better tell me what I want to know, or face the consequences." Glancing back at Martha, Martha handed Lori a piece of clothing to put on. "You're welcome. I just can't stand seeing you wearing something so tight. My sister asked me to stay with you. I hope you can cover up a bit." After finishing, Martha sat alone on the side to clean the dust off the rifle. Curious, Lori asked, "Was that gun once used by Alan?" Martha replied without looking back, "Yes." "Your school uniform is already torn. Why do you keep wearing it? You should change into a new one." Martha was silent for a moment and then said, "Because I'm afraid. If I take off this clothing, I feel like I will lose my past self and not be Martha anymore. I may not even be human. This clothing is the evidence that proves I am Martha. It can connect my present self with my past self. This clothing was washed and hung in my room by my mom. I will wear this clothing. This way, when I get to heaven, my parents can still recognize me." Looking at Martha, who was feeling down, Lori approached, grabbed her hand, and called out her name. She held her tightly in her arms. Martha rested on Lori's shoulder and sadly said, "Lori, my heart hurts so much. Because you have disappointed me too much. Since you have made a choice, while our feelings are still there, let us part ways here. It's better to let Martha hate me than to watch her die in front of me." At this moment, Queen Bee, after watching Martha storm out, quietly came to the door. She made a gesture for Lori to keep quiet. Then she took out a notebook for Lori. "Can you communicate by using a notebook?" Lori wrote, "Yes, I can." Queen Bee then asked, "Lori, why can't you just say the intelligence directly?" "Maria, this is not possible. Because Henslow implanted a bug inside me. But they can't monitor what is written down. Maria, your child is safe. Because the intelligence I provided is fake. Lori, are you truly loyal to Henslow?" "No, I am not. Because they can save my friend. I can only do as they say. If Henslow doesn't want to save your friend, but simply wants to use your friend as a hostage. Big sister, you are right. But I have no choice. I just saw you and Martha arguing. Yes, it's actually not an argument. Martha is just very disappointed in me. Lori, why didn't you ask the people who rescued you from Henslow to help you find Martha? Martha has been looking for you for a long time. Maria. Martha can't go there. That place is hell. I absolutely won't let her go there. Lori, if you're worried about Henslow's surveillance, you and Martha can communicate like I am. This is not possible. If Martha finds out, Hilda will definitely find out. Roy and Alan will be in danger. And I don't know when I will die. My sixth sense tells me that the device implanted in my body is not just for surveillance. It is also a mini-bomb. And I hope Martha gives up the idea of seeking revenge. Because Henslow's power is so overwhelming that it's despairing. If Martha knew all of this, she would definitely risk everything to rescue me. Rather than letting her sacrifice herself in front of me, it's better to let her be disappointed in me. I'm sorry, sister. You are destined to lose this war. Lori, they are the main culprits of this disaster. We must resist. Even if we can't win, I will make sure they suffer heavy losses. Maria, sister. If your husband and daughter were put into Henslow's glass coffin, what would you do? They are the only ones left by my side. Do I have any choice left between them and thousands of strangers? Aircraft carrier Queen Bee appears unexpectedly. Can Richard turn the danger into safety? At this moment, Elder, after a series of bombing probes to confirm there are no traps, begins to board the ship. At this time, several black bees fly over holding a few people and head towards the aircraft carrier. The few people successfully reach the deck and enter the cabin. However, what they do not know is that Kent, hidden away, is watching their every move through surveillance. With a phone call from Kent, the cocoon hidden in the cargo hold starts to tremble violently. Soon after, all the cocoons begin to break open, and countless mixes emerge from them. Elder and the other three split into two groups. Kent taunted through the ship's broadcast system, saying, I was originally planning to release a biological bomb to scare you all. But unexpectedly, this has piqued your curiosity and brought along a few fools to their doom. Speaking of which, before finishing his sentence, all the entrances and exits on the aircraft carrier suddenly closed automatically. Kent then continued saying, Captain, I have activated the security system. I hope you won't die at the hands of the mechanical dog. By the way, I'll give you some bad news. The warehouse on this aircraft carrier stores countless insect eggs. They will hatch soon. When they hatch, these infected bees will swarm towards the land. If you can't stop them, they will devour everything they encounter. At that time, the area outside the aircraft carrier will become a living hell. Upon hearing this vicious plan, Elder was furious. She quickly picked up the communicator to call Richard and the others back. However, the aircraft carrier blocked radio signals inside. In helplessness, they could only fend for themselves. Meanwhile, Richard and Pit Bull were already in danger. They were pinned down by the powerful firepower of the mechanical dog and couldn't lift their heads. In such a narrow passage, the two had no chance of winning. So, they retreated to find another route into the warehouse. At this moment, Pit Bull opened another entrance only to find a surprise. The mechanical dog and Pit Bull ran into each other. The mechanical dog instantly fired several bullets at Pit Bull. Luckily, Pit Bull reacted quickly and hid in the ventilation duct. The two split up and went their separate ways to search for the cabin. At that moment, a ventilation duct somewhere on the aircraft carrier was suddenly kicked open. Richard crawled out from inside. Looking at the dim surroundings, Richard had to take off his eye mask to reveal his mutated right eye. When Richard saw the surrounding environment clearly through his insect eye, he was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Richard looked at the countless cocoons and dried bodies in front of him. He had already figured out Henslow's conspiracy. Richard took out his communicator to contact others. However, there was no signal here. Suddenly, a groan was heard. Richard quickly turned around and raised his gun to look. A newly hatched mix was lying on the ground, groaning in pain. Richard was startled. Could there be a queen bee here? So Richard hurriedly looked around. Sure enough, a cracked cocoon appeared in front of him. Obviously, she has already hatched. Just hide in this aircraft carrier. This wicked woman crawled back from hell again. She still pretends to be pitiful and follows Richard. This matter needs to be explained from the characteristics of mix. Strictly speaking, after the metamorphosis, humans are no longer humans. Their souls and memories are stored in two parts, the brain and the heart. When they lose the core, the heart, as long as a new core is reinstalled within a short period of time, they can survive. Similarly, when the body is damaged but the core remains intact, the person can still survive by switching to a different body. In the core that Walter took away initially, Doris's soul is hidden. The core, once installed in someone else's body, was immediately taken over by Doris. After being bombed by shells, Doris didn't die immediately, but instead dragged her charred body aimlessly. She finally met Kent and was resurrected once again. When she emerged from the cocoon, she encountered Richard. Richard was very surprised at this point to find that there were still humans here. Upon closer inspection, she was not even wearing clothes. Richard fetched clothes from a nearby corpse for her to put on. The newly resurrected Doris still had some confusion in her memory. She had just been discussing going to an internet cafe with her classmates. How did she suddenly end up here? However, Richard didn't have the time to bother with her. He let Doris find a place to hide herself and prepare to leave. But he was pulled back by a hand. "Don't leave me alone. Take me away with you as well. The place I'm going to is very dangerous. I have already cleaned up this place. You will be safe hiding here." But Miss Doris is in a terrible temper and won't listen at all. She is dragging Richard along, insisting on following. Richard gave her a big slap. "Don't give me any princess attitude. What I need to do concerns the fate of all mankind. You stay here and try to survive on your own." Doris squatted on the ground crying and murmured, "We were just in school. Alan, where are you? Weren't we supposed to go online with Lori, Roy, and Minky? Where did all of you go?" When he heard Martha's name, Richard, who was about to leave, paused. He turned around and asked, "Do you know Martha? Did you used to live in Chun City?" Excitedly, Doris responded to Richard's question. "I was in the 3rd year of high school in Chun City, and was classmates with Martha." Suddenly, Richard pulled Doris away to hide. "It's Queen Bee, and it's in its insect form. This is a big problem." At this moment, Richard hurriedly took Doris to the side, looking at the huge body. Undoubtedly, it was Queen Bee. Queen Bee dragged its massive body in front of a group of bound humans, opening its large bloodthirsty mouth to prepare for a hearty meal. Although Richard wanted to take out Queen Bee directly, this queen was originally a pathogen. Doris, behind him, was clearly scared by Queen Bee's appearance. Richard quickly covered her mouth with his quick reflexes. Hastily comforting her, he said, "Since you are Martha's friend, you must listen to my orders.